In the last episode of Whispering Woods, my new themed area series, I created the layout for the Vekoma multi-launch coaster and set about starting the theming. In this episode, I'm going to be continuing with the layout of the land, fully custom supporting the Vekoma multi-launch coaster, and starting this area's next coaster, an Intamin multi-dimension. Welcome back to Whispering Woods. I hope you're all well. This episode is quite an exciting one for me. If you've been following the channel for a while, you will know I absolutely love custom supporting. That is going to be quite a high portion of this episode, at least for the first part of it. Custom supporting coasters makes such a difference, and especially with this one because it's got so much path interaction and interaction with other pieces of track as well. Custom supporting it just makes it look so much better and more realistic too. Now, I wouldn't say custom supporting is particularly easy or quick. It's very time consuming, but once you get used to it, you can kind of get in a bit of a flow with it. Like I did here, I just kind of set a day apart for this and just custom supported the whole thing. And I changed the layout a bit later on as well. Like I mentioned towards the end of the last episode, I'm really not happy with the ending of this coaster, so I do go back and fully change it, and now I'm really happy with it, so that's quite good. The ending was sort of, I don't know, a bit too simple and a bit too short, so I quite dramatically change how it works, start to add in some water features as well, and it really just makes the whole area come together, because it kind of like finishes the back of the coaster, which will be the back of the land, and yeah, it just works really well. As for the rest of this episode, like I mentioned, the first part of it will be custom supporting this coaster fully, doing a bit more landscaping work, a bit more terraforming, and quite a bit of path work to make this area really feel a lot more immersive because you get really close to the coaster. And then later on in the episode, once I've done a bit more landscaping and path work, I'll be moving on to this area's second coaster, which is an Intamin multi-dimension coaster, specifically the friction wheel model, just like 13 Alton Towers and Hagrid's Islands of Adventure. As you can probably see with the time-lapse of my custom supporting in the background, this is at 600 times speed, just so we can get through it a bit quicker, but yeah, as you can see, custom supporting is quite an indecisive way of making things in Planet Coaster. At least for me it is, which is why I've sped it up so much and not even included all of the footage as well, because I go through so many revisions of different supports, because one size doesn't really fit all with supports, especially for elements like this that have so much interaction with a path. And obviously there's two sections of track here, like there's essentially two top hats I'm trying to support in the same like custom supporting piece. I think that is my favourite part of creating custom supporting, like doing larger structures like this, because they just look so much more realistic than like just the in-game supports where they like support each piece of track individually, where if you create these like big lattice structures like I'm doing here, it just looks a lot more like it does in real life, and like I said, it just looks a lot cooler. If you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that I've been custom supporting all of my coasters for quite some time now. It's just something that I always prefer to do. They will always look better than the in-game supports, especially for more compact coasters like this, so I'm going to continue to do it. I just really like the way it looks, and like I said, it looks a lot more realistic, and I do have a tutorial on this on the channel if you'd be interested in learning how to custom support. I would definitely like to update it in Planet Coaster 2, because there's a couple of features like the scaling tool that would definitely really improve how we custom support our coasters. So yeah, I should definitely update that tutorial at some point in the future, because I think it could be really helpful. As for stuff going on and around my channel at the moment, you'll have probably seen that I've just started the next competition for this channel. I'm really happy that I'm getting to start another competition so soon after Planet Coaster 2's launch. I wanted to do this competition when I hit 20k subscribers, but to be honest, it was still a little bit while off that, and I just want to get this competition out there, especially because of how like much of an exciting competition it is. If you've been following my channel and this competition along, you'll know that I've been asking you to build a coaster for Cedar Cove, which is going to be such a cool competition. I cannot wait to see what you'll all create. Speaking of Cedar Cove, progress on that park is going really well at the moment. The next episode will be the park's first coaster, and that creator is very busily working away on that coaster, and I cannot wait for you all to see it. It's going to be such an awesome ride, and like I can't remember whether I mentioned it's going to completely transform the entrance of the park, is all I'll say. Channel members know exactly what I'm on about because they've seen loads of progress photos of it, and I'm really excited for that second episode of my biggest ever park to release. It's a really fun project and I'm very happy that it's going really well. The reception of that first episode was also very refreshing to see. I don't know if you noticed, but it has been quite a while since I've uploaded, especially something of that scale. So I was a little bit worried to see whether, I didn't know, like, people would sort of care anymore, because it had been a bit of a gap in between like bigger projects, especially like that. Like, I've done quite a few Planet Coaster 2 videos since launch, but I hadn't started a series and certainly nothing on that scale. So I did sort of worry like whether the reception of it would be as good as I was hoping it would be, but no, it's the support once again has absolutely blown me away for the first episode of that series, so thank you so much for that. Definitely moving forward, like I mentioned in the past, the videos will be coming out so with like a less regular release schedule. They're just going to be releasing when they're ready. Same with this episode, it's taken a little while to make just because I've had that much else going on with uni and just life things, but yeah, it will come out when it is ready, and that's the way I prefer it as well. Like, if I had a release schedule, I feel like I'd be probably rushing things to get them out, whereas this way, that when they're released, when they're ready, I know that I'm releasing the best quality content I can at the time, and I much prefer that sort of creative process as well. Not only is it a lot less stressful, but I feel like I can create a lot better things. That's terrible English. Like, the quality of the videos at least is definitely going to improve over time with me taking more time to make them and a more relaxed approach, definitely to content creation in general. And I do hope to do a couple more tutorials and standalone videos while these two series are ongoing as well, but that won't be the only content on this channel. I have quite a few vlogs planned in the far future and near future, some really exciting projects coming up and some very exciting park visits, like first time park visits and events and everything. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to all of those. I will update you when I know more about what I'm doing, like trip wise, but yeah, there's some exciting stuff coming, so if you enjoy the vlog content, definitely subscribe if you're not already. There's a lot more awesome stuff on the way and I'm excited to share it all with you when I can. As for what you've been seeing being built in the background over the past couple of minutes, I have now fully custom supported the two top hats with one custom support structure. I'm really happy with the way that looks, and I'm just now starting to add some more paths into the area and then going to work with a little bit more of the coaster to improve operations. I'll put it that way. As you can see here, I'm starting to use the onload and offload stations which Frontier added into the game in the last update. Currently, they don't work. Like, they just, if you separate them with a piece of track, I think it kind of works, but like the second that train has done with its offload, it just releases, which most of the time causes it to mess with the block sections or just simply crash into the train that's in front of it in the next station, in the onload station. So yeah, that really needs to be fixed, and I hope it is fixed in the next update. I don't know whether this video will release before the February update comes out or after, but I'm really hoping that fixes it. And a couple of things with that update as well, they did mention stock coasters, which I did email to ask what they meant by that and didn't get any clarification on it, which is a shame, but I'm assuming stock coasters means coasters that are like less themed, or at least I hope it does. I'm assuming it's like coasters that are like blank coasters and we can theme up a lot more. Like, think of the Vekoma multi-launch that I'm using in this. It's themed to the Top Gun model, so it looks like a fighter jet. I'm assuming the stock coasters just means like the stock coaster models, so hopefully they've made a new train model for that and you can actually add more cars on it other than just 2 cars. So if that is the case with that update, I will definitely be updating this coaster to have the longer, more standard Vekoma multi-launch trains to not only increase the capacity but just to make it run properly as well. Like, it needs that extra weight with some of the elements I've designed to get round properly. The shorter cart just doesn't really do it justice. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that update. Hopefully that is what they mean by stock coasters, and there's quite a few other things that update's bringing as well, so I'm looking forward to see what happens with that. Now, I should definitely make a custom supporting like updated tutorial like I mentioned, but I'm expecting to get a couple of comments on how I do certain things in the comment section for this video, especially to do with custom supports, because I always do. That's quite a lot of the questions I get are just how to do this certain thing. So I would definitely like to make an updated tutorial like I said, but for custom supports, the best advice I can give is just to look at reference photos. Like, if there's a certain element on a certain coaster type by a certain manufacturer the best way to look of how to custom support it is just to look at how it's done in real life. Like, there was quite a few reference photos I was looking at from, is it the Flash? I can't remember what it's called, but the Vekoma Super Boomerang. Yeah, that coaster and that model. I think there's another one in China somewhere, but there was quite a few photos of that helped with supporting references for this. Different coasters like Abyssus, Phoenix. There's quite a few others, a Let coaster, that were definitely helping me with inspiration for this. And you can see as well that I did make my own footers, because currently there are no circular footers in game, so that I think is some sort of concrete column piece that I've turned upside down and stuck a flange on the end of it, and it just looks like a circular custom support footer, which is exactly what I wanted. I did the same thing on my Vekoma Mega Looping New Gen coaster, whatever you call it, that one from Deadwood Dale. I did the exact same thing with the circular supports, and I do it on quite a few other coasters in this park as well, because there's been quite a few coasters I've looked at that like exist in real life. Like I've mentioned, that's the best way to custom support, and quite a lot of the time a lot of them do have circular footers. Like, it's not even just these new gen Vekomas like Let Coaster. Like, there's quite a few B&Ms, which is a hint to other coasters that will be coming in Cedar Cove. There's quite a few like B&Ms and stuff that do have circular custom support footers, so I really hope they add them in the game at some point, but I don't mind making them custom because it's not too difficult to make them custom. I'm happy with the way that they look. So yeah, that was something that I did to really add to the realism of the custom supporting of this coaster. If you can hear a bell in the background, one of my cats is sat on my desk. She's helping me out, it's fine. She's getting some behind the scenes. I did also here start to experiment a bit with the terrain. I really wanted to make this like themed area as immersive as possible, and for me that really means that it's going to have like a variety of not only different things to look at, but like different heights and textures and stuff. So I knew that I wanted to add some water into this park at some point, and then working out how those custom supports worked with water was quite interesting. Again, looking at some like images of coasters that do this in real life definitely helped. Like Lek, most of that's above water actually, so that definitely really helped for that. And then after this, I just wanted to completely redo the end of the coaster. So as you can see here, I'm completely redoing pretty much the section after that little twister bit that goes underneath some of the paths. It's been completely changed. So now it goes into some sort of like, it's like an elongated stalled corkscrew. You'll see from some footage later on of how that works, and it goes into like a small snapping twisted airtime hill. You can see the profiling of this element here is very odd. I don't know why I came up with this. I was going to do like a really big corkscrew, and then I thought it's just not snappy enough, and the last few elements of the ride I did want it to not like get dull towards the end. I wanted it to be just as excited as the rest of the coast. And here we are now actually in Whispering Woods. I did want to do like a little non-time-lapse section just to show you around what we've built so far this episode, and I'm really happy with the way that this themed area is looking at the moment. This coaster obviously absolutely dominates the whole area, and I love this section that goes over the water here. It just kind of makes it more unique and like stands out a little bit, and I've added some more water around the rest of the park. A lot of this coaster goes over paths. There's like a lot of path interaction. Again, so much inspiration from Taran, and then this will be the site of where the second coaster will start around there. Over this side, I have put a little bit of an island in the middle of some water here. I just thought it looked quite nice, and then obviously you've got this like big twister section that comes underneath and meets this new part that I've added with that kind of stalled corkscrew. Comes around into this turn, does that quite nicely. Very traditional new gen Vekoma snapping airtime hill over the path. Quick turn there, and then that kind of long, it's probably, I don't know, it's like a twisted step up kind of. We'll let it test so you can see what it looks like going around, but yeah, I'm really happy with this. I have had a bit of a mess around with the dispatch times actually, which I'll show you now. I love the way that looks. I've like perfectly matched them so that the coasters cross over at a very specific point, as you'll see in a second. But like that view is just, as soon as you come in, it's so cool. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. You can see the coaster absolutely flying around the layout there. There's a lot of like nice snappy Vekoma transitions in this. I really tried to get the profiling exactly how the new gen Vekomas are profiled, because the profiling is so specific with some of the elements. Like Vekoma have definitely changed a lot from the older like janky transitions, and it's coming around into the second launch now, which is just about when the other coaster should release, or the other coaster train. I love that. I can't wait as well so that I can make these, well, I'm hoping I will be able to make these trains. the longer ones as well, because it really messes with the pacing having them shorter. You can see there the second train launching up, and this is the intersection point, which is so conveniently placed by this path. It'd be a perfect photo opportunity. Look at that. The clearance is actually alright. I've looked, don't worry, the clearance is fine. Obviously I could put like metal detectors on to make sure there's like strictly no loose articles and stuff, but yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool moment. The area is looking nice. I'm really happy with it. Now I will start building the next coaster for this area so you can really get the interaction and make this area definitely feel a lot more alive. Right, and now we're moving on to this themed area's second coaster, which is going to be an Intamin multi-dimension family coaster, very much in the style of 13, sort of Hagrid's kind of style. I did try a couple of different options for this, but I actually, thinking about it now, it resembles the Gerstlauer family launched / lift hill coaster that is at Park Asterix. It like really resembles that in a way. I completely wasn't intended it to. Obviously these Intamin and Gerstlauer family coasters are pretty similar, to be fair. Intamin and Gerstlauer do some of the best family coasters, but yeah, it did really unintentionally end up being very similar to that. As you can see, I was quite struggling here with how to interact with the bridge, like the one path that comes into this themed area. I didn't know whether I was going to do an airtime hill over it, and you saw earlier I tried to go under it, but I do end up just going back to going under it again. I didn't really think the airtime hill over it worked, because when you come out of the tunnel it immediately obstructs your view of the Vekoma multi-launch coaster right in front of you, and I didn't want that. I wanted that to be the main like focus feature of the area when you come in, and this moment here I thought was really cool. I wanted to try a bit of an outer bank, but I didn't really know how to transition into it. So as you see there, you'll see later on the POV when I go back to re-smooth it, but like I just love the way that looks. It kind of rises out the ground and doesn't change direction until you're at the peak of the hill, and then it starts to go, so you do get that nice like off-axis part. Now here I just started putting in loads of random twists and turns. Like the profiling of these coasters isn't like so set in stone in a way. Like Intamin, like they have so many different types of profiling for different elements that you can really do what you want, which is why I love them as a manufacturer. Like every coaster that they do is so different, at least the like obviously the unique models anyway, not the stock ones. Like if you look at some of their family coasters, like if you take Hagrid's or the new one that's just opened up at Drayton Manor, they're technically the same model of coaster, although one has a drop track. Like like one has LSMs and like a tire drive launch, but like they're technically the same model of coaster. They're both an Intamin family coaster, and yet they're both so different. Like I just love Intamin, if it already wasn't obvious enough. But as you can see here, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to turn this coaster around, and I did actually eventually end up going for a lift hill that leads into like a tilt track that reverses once it's tilted and drops you down backwards. And as you'll see a little later on, the positioning of that tilt track is very intentional. You'll see why I placed it where I did. And then whilst I was actually making this, I was watching, I can't remember what I was watching. It was a vlog. A vlog of some park. I can't remember what it was. But as you'll see later, the inspiration for that part of the layout of the family coaster was in this vlog. I was watching this coaster goes through a building, and in that building is a restaurant, and the coaster like goes above it. If anyone can think of what it was, that would be really helpful, because I have no idea. But like the coaster goes in and like circles around the top of the restaurant, so I really wanted to do that. And as you can see here, I'm just putting in the transfer tracks in at the end of the coaster. I always try to do that like first, or like before I get to the end of the coaster at least, because then I know how it will like actually enter the station and like interact with the ending of the coaster. And as you can see here, I've moved on to custom supporting this coaster as well. Don't worry, I'm not custom supporting the entire coaster in this episode, because this would probably double the length of the episode, but I did decide to go for the kind of like the supports of the Intamin family coaster that are present on like the you know, like Jet Rescue or whatever it's called, the like the launch bike coasters. And then 13 has it as well, where they have these like square supports instead of the more traditional round supports that are on Hagrid's. So I really wanted to try out something a bit different with them. I just thought I custom support every coaster with round support, so I wanted to try it a bit different. And this is what I meant about the section that goes through the restaurant. This building is probably going to be a restaurant, and then it's going to have the coaster go through it above, which I thought would be quite cool. And it is a slower part of the ride as well, because you don't want it to be like fast and have everyone screaming their heads off as they come through the restaurant. So I can probably put in some noise dampening measures in that anyway by putting some like foliage inside, and maybe I could indicate some acoustic boarding or something to show that how that would work realistically. And then, as you've seen just then, I put in a drop track, and then that drop track obviously changes around the direction of the train, so we're now facing the correct direction. You go through these 2 airtime hills, a little snapping turn, and then into the final launch. And just here I was kind of watching the coaster going around, trying to get a bit of inspiration for how I'm going to finish this ride, because at this point I didn't really know how I was going to do that. So I put in this back of house maintenance path here. This path will just give vehicles access to this themed area in case they need to come in for maintenance and stuff. And then I just kind of spam some track to end the coaster. I'm not completely happy with this ending. It might be sort of a case of what's happened with this episode, where I do go back and tweak some parts of the coaster. In the next episode, which will be episode 3, that episode will basically just me going around tweaking final bits of like infrastructure for this area, like the coasters, probably doing a little bit more custom supporting, maybe messing around with some of these flat rides that I've put in. As you can see, I've put this Zampola Disco in here. I don't know whether it's going to stay, it's more just a placeholder that I want something there. And then starting to theme the coaster as well, which will be really nice. As you can see here, I am continuing with a little bit more of the custom supports. I don't record all of the custom supports that I do in this episode, and I'm not going to custom support the entire coaster like I mentioned. I think I custom support the launch and then the first kind of big hill wave turn thing, and then leave it there, because you've seen your fair share of custom support in this episode, let's be honest. And I have to say, the sheer variety of custom supporting pieces that are in Planet Coaster 2 is fantastic. All of these pieces that I'm using now in Planet Coaster 1, I would have probably had to get TMTK for, but the fact that they're just in the game now is fantastic. I know we don't have TMTK at the moment, but to be honest, as the game is now, I don't miss it. Like, everything I would have needed or used in Planet Coaster 1 out of TMTK, we have already. So I feel like it would be a very niche case for me for needing TMTK at this point. I'm sure it'll probably happen, but unless they start adding some more realistic things, like basically the studio pack. I would really love the studio pack from Planet Coaster 1, or just one that's very similar to that. Those are sort of the only things I'm missing, where I thought, like, if TMTK was a thing, we could have had those. But yeah, to be honest, I don't really miss TMTK at the moment, which it's been quite nice. Like, having most of the things in the game that I'm needing to use has been really cool. I'm doing quite a different custom support here, as you probably noticed. I was looking at images of custom supports that are in this style, as I do with most of my time, of specifically 13, and some of the like sideways side supports don't go directly into the ground. They'll stop and then have like a vertical piece at the bottom. I'm assuming this is just because it's easier to attach with the like the pins that hold them into the foundations on the ground. So yeah, that's what I've done there. Started to put the footers in, and then because these supports are much bigger than the ones that were just under the launch track, I added some flanges too. And here we are. We find ourselves at the entrance of Whispering Woods. Episode 2 is now finished. I'm really happy with the way that this looks. Like I mentioned earlier about the placement of that tilt track, very, very purposeful. I put it there on purpose. I'm going to theme that white structure there around it, basically like a crumbling tower sort of thing, and you'll have like a little bit of a glimpse of the tilt track there, which is actually going to interact with a bit of scenery as you tilt down, like that the riders will look at the bottom. But yes, look at the view as you enter with these lovely custom supports on the Vekoma multi-launch coaster. I am so happy with this. Great timing with the train as well. I really hope in this February update, which will be out when this episode has released, that you can change the length of the coaster cards for this model, because it really needs longer coaster cards. I love how close you can get to the launch as well, because the top hat just looks fantastic, and then you get this awesome bit of interaction here. Look at that. It's so cool. I will need to put up a pretty decent barrier there to make sure people aren't chucking stuff at the guests, because guests in real life can do that sort of stuff. They're very annoying. And then you've got this bridge that goes over the launch section, gives you a nice elevated view of like the second, like no, the first half. Oh, See the drop track over there? Gives you a nice view of like the first half of the coaster. I can't stop zooming in certain parts. It's so graceful watching it go around, and then you can come back over this side of the bridge, and it brings you closer to like the second half of the coaster after the second launch, where all the big elements are like this very nicely profiled stall, and then that really nice interaction part as well. Let's look how close they get. Oh, I love it. It's so cool. Why are you stuck? What's going on? That's one thing that is really annoying me about this current build of Planet Coaster 2, and if the February update doesn't solve it, I'm going to get mad. But the dispatch, oh that's nice, the dispatch times, every time you save the file and like back out of this map and then go back into it, it just completely forgets the dispatch times. So they'll just revert back to 1 second, and then you'll have trains crashing into each other or sitting on launch sections. Very annoying. I hope that gets fixed. But you can see the tilt track. That's cool. We'll make our way down here to see the new addition for this episode. I'm really loving this. What is going on? See what I mean? The dispatch times are just so broken. So we've got a train on the tilt track. Where's the other one? I bet there's another one coming soon. We've got a train on the tilt track. Ooh, that's a nice shot. Sorry. We've got a train on the tilt track, a train on the lift hill. Oh, there's another one coming. Oh no. What's going to happen? I mean, there is a block section on the bottom of the lift hill. I did put that in on purpose. I love these big swooping turns. I'm going to have loads of paths underneath here as well, with some nice landscaping interaction. Oh, great. So all three of the coasters on the circuit are stuck on the same element. Brilliant. Good job. Hopefully that gets fixed soon. I really like this section here as well. Like when you're on ride, this section probably doesn't feel that big. It's probably one of like the smallest height-wise parts of the ride, but when you're this close to it, because this is probably the closest you can get to any part of the coaster, it feels huge. And like I do want to put some nice like sort of like buttresses coming out over here into the water. Maybe some like crumbling ones so you get some nice interaction there, like supporting the station building and that path that's above it. There's going to be quite a few more paths in this area so you can get even closer. I love supports in paths, are just so cool. I don't know why, I just really love them. We'll make our way back up here. As you can see, we did just go up some stairs there. There is ramp and staired access all around, so there isn't any part of this park you can't access if you can't do stairs, so it's all lovely and accessible. I love this part that goes over the water as well. I left that little bit of land in the middle, like a little island for some of the supports to go off. I just think it looks really cool. Put some nice landscaping around there. And then, yeah, this is kind of at the back of the area. I did want to kind of close this in, so I did have a vision of that coaster and this flat ride being like just in front of a backing stage wall to this area. Whether that'll actually happen or not, I don't know, but that was sort of what I was thinking anyway, and I might theme in the ride vehicle a bit more. It looks very bland at the moment. I'm going to do that with the trains eventually as well. I might do that next episode. I have had a bit of an experimentation with theming the trains, but I've realised I'm not very good at that, so I definitely need to do a bit more practice. And then this is where you will enter the little plaza for the Intamin family coaster, which I need to put the queue lines in for at some point. I love the profile of that and that. It's so cool. But yeah, as we are getting to the end of this episode now, I'm going to give you an updated POV of the Vekoma multi-launch coaster, and then a POV of that coaster once it's fixed. and then that'll be it for episode 2. I'm really happy with this series so far. 2 episodes in, and look at all we've done. Made 2 coasters, started off the area, got like a nice themed entrance and everything. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I wanted to do like a proper spooky theme for quite a while, and ever since Dark Universe, like the concept art, and now we've seen the real life photos for it, inspirations have been through the roof with that. So yeah, I will leave you with the 2 POVs, and I will see you in next episode of Whispering Woods. Thanks for watching. See you next time.